Good morning. I'm calling to order the Tuesday, June 10th meeting of the Audit Committee. Let's start with an invocation, please. Lord, thank you so much for this county and the people who help lead, the people who are all the employees that do the work in the field. Thank you for our first responders. Be with us today as we do the county's business and vote on issues. Not all of these are easy, but help us to make our decisions in wisdom and in truth. In your name we pray, amen.
Amen.
Let's pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with justice for all. Thank you. We have a full quorum here, and moving on to approval of the minutes of the previous meeting from March.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any changes to the agenda?
Ready for your approval, Madam Chair.
Very good. We'll go with this agenda as published into the report. Let's see. Management services, animal services. Okay, Mr. Schneider, are you ready?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
You have 3 reports to present to you today, and a brief update. I apologize if I sound a little sinusy today. I just woke up with a little bit of sinus problem today, but I apologize. So beginning with animal services, we did go out to animal services here recently on our 3-year rotation through all the departments. While we were there, we did all of our standard procedures and a few things that are specific to the Animal Services Department. We looked at their cash collections with no exceptions. We also counted the cash on hand and didn't find any issues there. There are instances when they have to invoice veterinarians, and we looked at a selection of those without any exceptions. There are some handwritten receipts at the department, and we looked through that process and selected a few of those without any exceptions. Of course, we looked at purchase requisitions like we always do. We had no issues there. We looked at their purchase card transactions, didn't have any exceptions. We participated in the inventory of the animals and had no exceptions in that process. Looked at their timesheets. They do have a euthanasia solution, which they use for euthanasia. We looked at the log. We don't touch the actual substance. We looked at the log. We found a math error. It is a controlled substance, and so they have to track it very carefully. We saw a math error on that log. There's also a separate cremation log. We looked at that without any exceptions. The state performs an inspection. We obtained the most recent report and noted that the state had no findings in their inspection report. So that is the Animal Services Department. Are there any questions about that?
Good job to the folks at Animal Services. Okay, next.
So we also looked at the SPLOST program. Now, this is a program that's also examined by your external auditor. So there's a lot of scrutiny on this program to start with. But we treat it like a department, and every few years we come through and take a look at it. The hope being that if there were any kind of systemic issues, we could catch them before the external auditor and make any recommendations that would be necessary. We did not have any recommendations for any changes to the SPLOST program. There was quite a bit of activity going on. We looked at bid packages for a sample of the recent projects that have been through the bid process, compared that to the county's bid policies, and found all of that to be done correctly. We looked at the purchase and invoice approval process for a selection of transactions and found no issues. We also looked at the reconciliation of the SPLOST-related cash accounts, making sure that the accounts were being reconciled and they agreed to the general ledger and to the bank statements. We have no errors there at all. We confirmed the SPLOST receipts with the Georgia Department of Revenue, which is something that's done online, and anyone can do that. But we could confirm that the correct amount was recorded in the general ledger. And then we tested SPLOST disbursements of about 17 million, and PFA project disbursements of a little over 9 million. We also looked at debt service payments. There were some interest payments made during the interim period that we were looking at. In October and April, we looked at those payments, and they matched the amortization schedule. So we wound up with no recommendations related to the SPLOST funds. Questions about those?
There's a lot to look at.
It's a lot. It's a big program. It's a very important program. Like I said, there's a lot of scrutiny with the external auditors looking at it, and then also, of course, the voters having to weigh in on SPLOST projects.
Reese, good job. Any questions? Seeing none, let's move on to 311.
So in addition to these other two reports, we do have this 311 call center report. It's a little bit smaller report. Of course, we looked at the way the revenues are calculated, and we looked at their purchase orders and requisitions and the purchase cards, timesheets, no problems. And the response time was, to be quite honest, really, really excellent. Most items are completed within a day or less than a day and marked as closed. We put one sentence in here just to note that 3 years ago, pretty much all of the calls were marked as closed, and we were able to do some analysis and say, well, there's average number of days or whatever. And we this time we just noticed that there were more calls that had not been marked as closed relative to those previous audits. So we couldn't do that kind of calculation of saying it's average. But that didn't mean that they weren't resolved, but that they were resolved by another department. So most calls that go into 311, of course, then move on to another department. So we could tell that the issues were being closed, again, on average within a day, but we just were not able to average it like we had done in the past. So we just mentioned that. And that's all we have for 311. It's a relatively small department from the perspective of the audit. There's not a lot of activity to audit there.
I imagine that having gone through the hurricane in recent months, that the call volume was up dramatically.
Yes,
I was wondering too if that was where you saw
that
some
probably is.
items that were not closed out.
Yeah,
They can get that cleaned up, but I assume that might be part of it.
well, again, there's no indication that that items are not closed quickly and timely, and again, it's all being forwarded to another department. There may be a feedback loop issue there. If we want to make sure that things are marked as closed, then the other department would have to somehow communicate back. It's just, we just noticed the difference when we wanted to calculate that average number, and
Understood. And that could be a function too of not everyone being on CityWorks. So that becomes a verbal,
yeah.
but they'll clean it up.
Very good.
So that's, those are the three reports I have for today's presentation. Again, if there are any questions about that and those reports, I'd be happy to address any of those questions. And if not, a couple things coming around. The Board of Elections is due for the 3-year rotation. Seems like we just did it, but I double-checked, and it's coming back around. The Maintenance Department, and I think it's time to do another lodging tax with the hotels. I think we're maybe overdue for another lodging tax report. So those are the things that we kind of have in the hopper.
I agree with those, the ongoing list right there, and I don't have any questions. I just want to say, considering the volume of activity in the departments that you're reviewing every quarter, that it's amazing that you don't find anything else other than these small things that you brought to our attention, which I do appreciate, and we obviously want to be the best we can be, but it's we're very proud of our folks here who do the job.
We try to ask a lot of questions, and we try to get out in the field and meet folks whenever we can. We're consistently pleased with the professionalism that we encounter when we are out in the field working with folks.
What is the total number of reports? So you're doing roughly 3 a quarter for 3-year rotation, so around 36, I assume, but higher 40 or?
I have a spreadsheet that can answer that question that I don't have in front of me. But I try to do a minimum of 3 reports per meeting, because that's seems to be the minimum for me to keep up to date. Of course, there are ebbs and flows and staffing challenges at times, but I try to get 3 per quarter, 12 a year, 36 in a 3-year rotation, and that seems to work. And then occasionally I might show 4 or maybe 2. So we try to work consistently throughout the year, but again, we do have staffing challenges at certain times.
Well, I was more curious, are we adjusting what we're sending you, the types of departments we create, or? I've been gone for a few years. We've been adjusting or changing around.
Kind of new.
I'm still kind of new.
We actually, we do try to stay in touch and keep up to date with changes, and sometimes we miss a change and we get corrected pretty quickly.
Okay.
So, but I'm always available and reachable if there's any new departments, or if there's any department that somehow missed, or a department that becomes a priority. I can always shift around the schedule and make things happen.
I think the most important thing is commissioners serve 4-year terms, that every department is audited.
That math works.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you very
much, Mr.
so much.
Snyder. Is there any other commissioner comment? Do I have any public comment?
Staff?
Seeing none, we will adjourn and come back in 3 minutes for the MIS committee. Thank you.
Give everybody a chance to.
Services Committee meeting for Tuesday, June the 10th. We have already prayed and pledged, and we have a quorum of 3 members present. Gentlemen, you've been provided copies of the minutes of the previous meeting on May 13th, as well as its executive session. What is your will for approval?
Move to accept.
And is there any changes to the agenda?
No, Madam Chair, ready for your approval.
Good, let's move forward with your first item, Mr. Johnson.
First item you have is the FY25 service agreement with Project Access. This is an agreement that we've had in place for many years. The total amount is $25,000. We ask them annually to provide us a list or not a list of, but a number of Columbia County residents that are being served by this. We still are seeing Columbia County residents being served by this, although with the cost of health care, I believe, going up and maybe the number of people needing it going down, it's costing more per citizen to do that. So this is something we're going to monitor on an annual basis to make a recommendation. It is a budgeted item, and staff recommends approval.
Is this the group that's down off Green Street Hospital?
Yes, sir.
Move to consent.
Second.
So moved. Next.
Next item is your Tax Appeals Conflict Council Agreement. This is with the Nelson Law Group. We started working with the Nelson Law Group a year or two ago, maybe a little bit longer than that. But essentially what they do is they do conflict, any sort of conflict on tax appeals through the tax assessor's office. We did negotiate a rate for them that is similar to the county attorney's office rate. This one will commence on June 17th, 2025 and terminate on June 30, 2026 to get it back in sync with the fiscal year. And we do have an option to renew for 4 additional one-year terms. Staff recommends approval.
Has this service always been separate from the county attorney?
Has it been separate from what? Say it again?
From the county attorney's services?
Yeah, it's a conflict.
They're conflict
Oh, okay,
counsel.
that makes sense.
It's conflict. So anything that
With you.
county attorney's office can't do, we would send it over to them. We have conflict counsel in Savannah for litigation cases as well.
Chris Driver wants to make an appeal.
Gotcha. Gentlemen,
Move to consent.
Second.
so moved. Next.
Next item you have for your consideration is extension of the State Properties Commission Agreement. This is for the Department of Community Supervision. This is our probation folks that are over in the JCA. Again, 12-month period beginning July 1st, ending June 30, 2026. You see the rental rate is just a nominal rate. We're just essentially providing them space for them providing the service to our community to make it easier for our folks to be able to utilize that state service. So the agreement is attached. Staff recommends approval.
Move to consent.
Second.
So moved. Next.
Similar item for the extension of State Properties Commission Agreement. This is for driver services. Again, 12-month beginning July 1st, 2025, ending June 30, 2026. Again, very nominal annual rental rate for driver services. Again, we do this so the state will provide the services in Columbia County so our citizens don't have to go elsewhere to be able to utilize the service. I believe the driver services here in Columbia County gets a lot of business from Columbia County residents. The agreement is attached. Staff recommends approval.
Move to consent.
Second.
So moved.
Next item we have is actually for our coroner's office. The coroner is here if you have any questions for him. But this is a contract with Guardian Mortuary Transport for coroner transport services. So this service will actually transport bodies from a scene or from a home to the morgue or to the regional crime lab for autopsy as needed. I will say that our new coroner has already cut down or cut into this by doing a lot of the transport himself or with the deputy coroners. So I believe they're being efficient, but there are times that they need additional transport services. You will remember in our EMS contract with Gold Cross prior to this, Gold Cross was responsible for transporting at no cost as part of the contract. The issue that we had with that was there were times where it may be tying up an ambulance for maybe a couple of hours on a crime scene. The coroner would get there and try to cut them loose, but if they needed somebody to transport, the ambulance would come back. So we needed those ambulances on call to be able to do emergency type services. So we got with the coroner. He recommended this contract. It is with Guardian Mortuary. He has negotiated the rates. Staff's comfortable with that. We recommend approval.
What's the estimated annual cost?
I believe we put $25,000 in your budget for next year.
Uber was not an option.
Uber's not an option. Well,
Business
it maybe
opportunity.
could be an option.
Gentlemen, I call the question.
Move to consent.
Second.
So moved. Thank you. Next.
Next item you have is your FY26 CJCC Accountability Courts Grant. You can see the grant provides funding for personnel, treatment services, and other operational costs. This one is, again, is a 1 year from July 1, 2025 to June 30, 2026. You see the grant award's $286,458. We have the participant fees, which equals our matching funds, which is $50,551 for a total grant of $337,009, and staff recommends approval.
Move to consent.
Second.
So moved. Is Judge Blanchard still participating?
He's still participating, yes.
Next.
Okay, the next one is the estimated rollback rate notice of assessment. So this, as you know, with House Bill 581 and House Bill 92 coming down the pike, these are fluid laws. We're getting some, trying to get as much information as we can from ACCG, our partners over with the cities with GMA, and then obviously working with our local tax assessors who have their own groups that they're looking at or talking to and getting training from. So what this does is under the prior law, the annual notice of assessment automatically included the previous year's millage rate, okay? So House Bill 581 created an estimated rollback rate, so that supposedly gives us more flexibility in accurately previewing that year's millage rate to the property owner on that notice that we send out every year. So what we're asking for today is certifying estimated rollback rate. This could be included on the annual notice of assessment. We have two options. We can do it the old way, where we just say, this is what we think your tax is going to be, or we can approve this estimated rollback rate and say, this is what we think the estimated rollback rate is going to be. It can change. It can go up or down. It does not have to be perfect, but we do have to do this, and we have to get it to the tax commissioner no less than 15 days prior to the postmark of the notices. And that is, they're actually going to go out at our next meeting. So if the committee is okay with moving forward with the estimated rollback rate, then we would put that on the notice. We will have that, everything to you prior to the next meeting, but then if you put this on consent to move it forward, we would tell the tax assessor to be ready or be prepared to send those notices out on the 16th as required.
So what you're saying is the legislature, in their infinite wisdom, in efforts to try to make the process more transparent, it's just as convoluted as it always has been.
It is, and it's extremely hard to understand. We're asking for interpretations from the bill's author at times to try to figure out exactly what we're supposed to do. We have a lot of really smart and people that are well tenured in local government that are calling each other, scratching our heads, saying, well, are you doing this, or are you doing that, or how are you doing that? Or the law doesn't say that. It's extremely confusing. So I hate to use the words abundance of caution, but I'm going to go ahead and go with that and just say that we need to get this on our agenda. We can have this as an option available for ourselves to be able to be in compliance with these new laws.
Oversimplified, passing this gives us the ability to put what we think the rollback rate's going to be.
Correct.
And when will we see that, obviously?
October?
Today? No.
Oh, okay.
The actual rate, you'll set the rate in August.
Correct.
But we will have the estimated roll. We have an idea of the estimated rollback rate. We're running some numbers now. Do you have that number
have it.
done? So we can give you
Latest is 4.36 mils
4.36.
from our current rate of 4.568.
So that's a little less than a quarter mil rollback to go all the way to the rollback rate.
Bear with me for a second. What you said was 436
Yes,
and the
468.
4.568.
4.568.
and under, I don't even know which law we're under at this point. That's the full rollback rate?
Yes, sir.
As of today, yes.
So the digest is pretty much,
Ready to go. Sorry?
how many dollars was our,
It is
Total?
9.4. And this is just the M&O piece.
That's right.
Required by law to approve it.
We think we are too. We're not 100% sure, but I'm going to ask you to approve the rollback rate. I think it's this board's intention to go to the rollback rate.
It is.
This year, we've talked about that. We budgeted for that. We have that ready to go. So the fact that we're going to approve this, you're not approving the millage rate.
we're not approving millage rate, we're just
Right.
approving what we're going to put
You're,
on this.
you're approving an estimate of the rollback rate is all
Right.
you're doing today. We'll still discuss the millage rate at a later date.
Mr. Johnson, they are, It is considered certifying though, right?
It is.
You are certifying this estimated rate.
Correct. Doesn't mean you have to use it. Means you're certifying the estimated rate.
Move to consent.
Can we?
I'd
Second.
rather have a debate.
Now, if you,
Rather it not be a debate, I'm asking, I just
yeah,
want
I'd
to make sure.
prefer,
we can.
if it's okay with you, I'd prefer that we move it to consent. If any other, we have all of our Board of Commissioners here. If there's any questions, we can bring those up. But with the, if this committee moves it to consent with with the majority of the commission, I'm gonna advise the tax commissioners to go ahead and move forward with their notices unless I hear something from another commissioner and we have to pull it.
Have any comment from the?
So I'm gonna tell them to go ahead and,
All right, we have a motion and second to move this to consent agenda. So moved. Next.
thank you.
Let's see, that was all of yours. Internal services, please.
The only item I have for you this morning is the insurance renewal with ACCG for our property and liability portion for the next fiscal year. This would be the period July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2026. We are maintaining the same coverage limits. However, of course, every year we do add buildings or add people or add vehicles. So our net contribution is increasing by 23.38% from the current fiscal year. That is 5% that's attributable to just the ACCG overall rate increase, and 18.38% is due to our increased exposures. Like I said, our payroll, our buildings, facilities, things like that. We also met all the requirements to receive the safety discount credit of $45,448. So our net contribution is $1,014,533. Staff recommends approval. There is the renewal contribution worksheet that's attached that does require the chairman's signature by, I believe, July 1st.
If I read this correctly, it was 800,
822,272 was our current fiscal year.
1,014,000. What was it last year for you?
822,272.
That was,
It's going up to the $1,014,533.
Somebody on the commission in the insurance industry that could help us.
Actually, Commissioner Caraway sits on this board with ACCG.
Oh, no, I'm doing.
No, they're closer to the 20.
Move to consent.
Second.
So moved. Thank you. Anything else from your department, Ms. Reese?
No, ma'am.
All right, technology services. Good morning, Mr. Blanchard. How are you?
Well, ma'am, and you?
Good. What do you have for us today?
I've got five items for your consideration. The first of which is our Microsoft Enterprise payment authorization for, excuse me, the next fiscal year. You're all familiar with Microsoft. That's who we contract with in order to get operating system software, Office, SharePoint, Teams, all those kind of things. We're in the final year of our 3-year Microsoft Enterprise agreement, the cost of which is $376,954.52. This is to be paid out of next year's operating budget, so it's due in July, so we want to go ahead and make sure we're ready to move forward with that. And staff recommends approval.
Move to consent.
Second.
So moved. Next.
Next item I have is a renewal with Fred Daniel Mapping Services. This is the company that GIS works with in order to make sure that all of our parcel maps are up to date. They've got a long-standing relationship with Fred Daniel. It's worked out well for all parties concerned. GIS has budgeted $50,000. There's a little bit of a typo here. They have budgeted $50,000, but the cost will be $45,540. That other amount is in case we've got any programming tweaks that have to be done. Previously, this was $40,000 per year, so there is a slight increase this year. It's the first time that he's charged more in several years. Staff believes it's reasonable, and they recommend approval.
Move to consent.
Let's give 50 grand to Fred.
Fred, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
So moved. Next.
All right, next item I have is it's a master service agreement with Segra for connectivity services. This is broadband being proactive here to get an additional 10 gigabit per second connectivity and be able to support additional customers. The monthly recurring cost is $2,800, and this is a 5-year agreement. Staff recommends approval.
Consent.
Second.
So move next.
Right, the next two items are somewhat related. Of course, you know that we use Tyler Munis software for our enterprise resource planning software. We implemented their hosted version last year, and that put us in a renewal cycle for this agreement that ran from from April until the end of March. From our perspective, we want to align that with our fiscal year to make sure that we're budgeting appropriately for that and not having this mid-year renewal. So we've got two things going on in the April through June renewal. We are asking authorization to pay for that out of IT's operating budget for this year, and for there to be a contract amendment. The current contract says that it'll run through the months I just mentioned, from April until the end of March. So we want to fix that and have it be concurrent with our fiscal year. So this first agenda item will authorize IT to pay $149,195.70, and for the chairman to be able to sign off on that slight change.
Move to consent.
And the next
Second with a question, though. Like, what is the expected life cycle of Munis? Is it a
Well-
20-year program? Is it designed to be evolving to the point where we,
Well, it evolves, and that's one of the things about software companies. It's an interesting industry because they're always buying each other, and most of that industry has moved to a subscription basis for how they do things, and they also want you to be on the hosted platform. We used to be on-premise, where we moved to the hosted platform, so it is more expensive, but it's got built-in disaster recovery and regular updates to the software. So that's a major selling point when they do this is, the upgrades are all covered, and they'll do them in a timely manner so that we're able to take advantage of the latest and greatest features. That's the model that industry is in right now. So in theory, never have to change.
perpetual?
It's perpetual, and if Tyler is actually one of the larger companies that goes around buying up smaller companies. If somebody came along big enough to buy them, then we would probably have to evaluate that based on what the level of service was. But we're constantly evaluating to make sure that we're getting the best bang for our buck, so to speak, with all our vendors. And this is one that it has such an integral role with county operations that we do watch it very closely. And of course, Ms. Reese and her team are key participants in that as well.
Has a life cycle of at least 3 more years.
What an obscure and detailed time frame you gave just now.
3 to 5.
No, I was just curious.
That fits within my timeline, Sean.
Me
Thank you.
too.
I know when you get operating systems like this, that, once you're locked in, you're locked in. And I mean, it took us 5 to 10 years just to get it where we wanted it. So, thank you.
And you have one more?
That is the
Have a
last
motion.
one.
Technically, we still have to vote on it.
Staff recommends approval.
Second, on the floor, we will move that to consent. And you have one more item.
Now, part 2, we have to vote on it.
Oh, I'm sorry, okay, well, part 2 is the payment for the next fiscal year. Again, since we're realigning our payment schedule, we want to be able to pay them as early as we can in July to ensure our continued support and maintenance. That cost is going to be $596,782.78, and staff recommends approval.
Move to consent.
Second.
So moved.
Third.
Thank you, Mr. Blanchard, for your support of our. All right. Very good.
That was an interesting compliment.
Do we have any legal items?
We do not have any legal items today.
All right, staff reports, internal services.
Speaking of budget, the first report is year-to-date budget report. This is for the month ended May 31st. We should be performing around 92% of the budget, and as usual, I've listed some of the major funds here for your review, and everyone is operating as they should be.
Money, we would be below budget.
If he wasn't spending all the money, she couldn't give you a budget.
True.
Y'all have any questions?
I'm doing my part.
There are no questions. We'll move on to the SPOS update.
Yes, the next item is the SPOS update for the month of April. We received almost $3.4 million. This is an annualized percentage increase of 7.2%. And as compared to the same month last year, that's 9.8% greater and 2.5% greater than last month.
And the investment report.
Final item for your review is the investment report for the month of April.
I will make you aware that Ms. Priest and I received a report, I guess yesterday or one day, I forgot what day it was, but from folks who do our arbitrage monitoring. We knew we'd be facing potentially arbitrage issues. We're taking bond money and placing it into higher yield accounts. So we're looking at that. We know we have a potential liability now of about $1 million. It's 900,000, just shy of $1 million. But we're going to make an analysis just to make sure if we move that money into like the slug account, then we potentially wouldn't face that $1 million arbitrage penalty. But the issue is if we made $5 million, if it costs us $1 million to make $5 million and we net 4, then we should do that as opposed to moving it to the other account and only making 2.
Agree.
So we're going to look at that. We'll analyze that. Just, I wanted the commission to be aware of the fact that we may have some IRS, they call it a penalty. I guess it's a payment to the IRS just because we made too much money. We'll keep you apprised of that, but I didn't want that to be a surprise to anybody that if we need to take some of that money out to pay that.
Any update on the FEMA money? Or
So we've been working with the state. I'll let Mr. Kennedy give us any update. I know I've spoken to the GMA director again last week, and they're trying to push our money through, but
Yeah, right now, we're waiting on the $6.9 million. That went, it actually processed through GMA in 3 days. It's been waiting for the state accounting office to cut a check for over 40 days. Said it can take up to 12 weeks to cut a check. They have the money. So it is a lag, great lag. And the rest of they're working diligently with FEMA on an additional $25 million, trying to bring that to resolution. That progress continues, but it's a moving target too, because there's a lot of turbulence right now at FEMA. But that's where we're at right now.
we're still at the point where, I mean, they gave us some money in the very beginning. We're
They did.
still where we are.
Yes.
So the 6.9 was for those other 2 sites that were dropped,
Yeah.
if you recall. So that'll take care of that, and then you have different categories that are going through the process right now.
Still, the gross number, 65 million we spent?
it's less than that. I believe it's a little bit less than that total. And we're doing okay. We're making it. We need our money, but we're doing okay.
Right, but they gave us 17 up front, spent 65, or
Well, we,
say 67, so they still owe us 50 million bucks. Round numbers.
round numbers, yeah, maybe a little bit less than that, but yes.
Will everything have to go through the Georgia Department of Revenue?
So
Actually, it goes through, let me make sure I'm correct on that. It goes from FEMA to GMA to OPB.
So it goes, right, it goes through the GMA office proper.
Yep.
But that's a quick
As you said, a
turnaround.
few days, yeah.
Yeah.
But then it gets lost in the,
I think it goes to OPD. It may go to revenue for the check cut, but it goes to OPB first.
Well, that could be part of the problem.
Could be.
Could be going to multiple
one of the two, yeah.
places, but the 6.9 did hit the state over 40 days ago.
OPB is backlogged, but Department of Revenue
are.
is always a morass.
That is the word we did get that unofficially, that,
Inauditable, an unauditable, where's the accountant? An unauditable morass, Department of Revenue.
I'm sure.
No transparent, well, I mean, they have no transparency whatsoever.
Right, no, you're correct, but that there are the word we got is that there are other counties who have actually had the money hit the state prior to us that are still waiting. So we're not alone in this queue, but it seems to be painfully slow.
update. Is there any commissioner or public comment? And none, I have no items for executive session, and we will adjourn and return for the next committee meeting in
3 minutes.
3 minutes. Thank you.
Morning, I'd like to call to order this proposed Development and Planning Services Committee agenda. June 10th, having already gone through audit and MIS, we've dispensed with the invocation and pledge. We'll move straight into the approval of the agenda with no changes noted.
Ready for your approval, Mr. Chairman.
We'll move all the way through, no consent,
I
straight.
approve the minutes of the last.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Motion.
Approval, I always skip over the minutes, I'm sorry. need to give that a little more deference. I apologize.
Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of the previous meeting, May 13th.
So approved, the minutes of the May 13th meeting. My apologies, Ms. Crawley. We'll move straight through to the debate agenda. And new business.
Yeah, I can take that if you. The first item is a contract amendment and renewal number 2 with Otis Elevator Company for elevator maintenance. That was originally an initial 2-year term with 3-year renewals. This will bring us to the second renewal, but it also includes $400 a month for pick up the maintenance for the elevator at the CSO's admin building.
We pay $400 per month per elevator?
That's the price that it indicates, yes.
Wow.
So I would assume that this will go up again when Building A is complete. We'll pick it up at that time. So this is for the next year, July 1st, 2025 through 30 June 2026. Everything else in the contract remains the same.
Move to consent.
Second.
So moved. Item 2, sir.
The next one is renewal number 2 with Northwest Exterminating Company for exterminating services. Same thing here. This was a 2-year contract with 3 one-year terms. So we're asking to renew this term for an additional 12 months, starting July 1st through June 30th, 2026.
Will we have to review this when the square footage goes up, when Building A and the expansion of the Justice Center comes on
I
board?
do not know that, but it would stand to reason that once we do, we will have to do that.
Expect to do that. And
Second.
Are we staying with you, Mr. Kennedy?
Sorry?
Are we staying with you?
Absolutely.
Okay, so moved. Go on.
The next one is renewal number 3 with Coastal Waste and Recycling of Georgia for refuse services. That was a 1-year contract with 4 additional 1-year renewals. We're in our second renewal. We're asking to renew it again for the next 12 months from July 1st through June 30th of 2026. Still have 1 additional renewal available. Recommend approval.
move to consent.
Second.
So moved. Item 4.
Johnson, did you want to address this? This is a janitorial.
Yeah, I'll take this one. Yeah, this one's a little bit different. So this is an independent contractor agreements with Southeastern Paper and Camo Manufacturing Company. This is for purchase of janitorial supplies. We have been working with a group, and the costs were just going up and up and up. So we decided to put this back out. When we put it back out, it was really tough to compare apples to apples on this one. So procurement and facility maintenance worked together to go through the bids. And what we're asking to do here is actually recommending enter into independent contractor agreements with 2 companies, Southeastern Paper and Camo, to purchase our janitorial supplies at the lowest cost. Rather than just doing just a straight bid, we're doing a percentage off, and each company maybe give us a larger percentage off certain items that we use. So we're going to ask to go with both of these. Staff recommends approval of these 2 agreements.
All right, you guys are making me look bad. We skipped over.
I did. I'll catch it right
So
after.
we'll
I
catch
did
up
that.
after
Yeah.
this.
That's what I was waiting on too, but I was like, okay, well, we'll move forward with it.
There's a notice for the record that we will come back to item.
Let's take this one under consideration, and then we'll move back.
Okay, to get us back on track, renewal number 3 with ACOM
Oh,
Security.
hold on.
No. We're gonna
take action
We're
on
on item 4 now. We've already had it explained.
All right.
Have a motion.
Let's
have
go ahead.
Motion, move to consent.
Second.
Thank you. All right,
So
now
moved.
we'll do.
Now let's go back to
All
item
right,
4.
to get us back on track. Again, yeah, I apologize. I actually got caught up.
That's all right. The committee should represent us, Chairman. Go on.
Is that
Renewal,
okay, Trey, you're still new.
I know, that's what I'm saying. I keep telling you that.
this will
Nobody
be renewal number 3 with ACOM Security Company. They do integrated solutions for fire intrusion monitoring service and agenda ordering issues. No. Just for fire and intrusion monitoring service. This was also a 1-year contract with 4 renewal periods. This will be the second, we're currently on our second renewal period. We recommend approving for another 1-year period from July 1st, 2025 to 30 June 2026 with 1-year option remaining. All terms of that contract remain the same.
Now, does this contract include part of our badges, part of our security system?
Depends which
the badge?
one.
Right, there's more than.
Right, so part of that is done through Genetec, through IT, and the other part is done by Joe Jackson and his team.
Is there a plan to, at some point, or do we just not see a need?
Yes, as we're letting them run through, as they need to be replaced or new ones are to be added, then we're adding the newer ones. But
Okay,
just to replace them it was really a cost issue for one, before they needed, why replace them before they needed to?
Sure,
So
no, I was
does
just curious.
does cause you to have two systems, but for the sake of fiscal responsibility, it makes sense.
that's fine. I couldn't get into the building the other day. I thought I'd been impeached.
That had nothing to do with the system. That was intentional.
That's what I figured.
I don't see a contract amount listed in these documents. Is this a per unit basis, a per building that they're securing? How is the amount?
No, the way I understand, this is for the system itself, because when they go to, and correct me if I'm wrong,
I believe it's actually for the monitoring, I believe.
but it's for the monitoring, it's not for the particular items. When they go to install, they have to buy those,
But
just
there's-
like we do on the other system.
But there's no increase in this?
There's no increase to the monitoring.
Motion, move to consent.
Second.
So moved. Thank you for getting us through that.
Anytime, glad to help you.
You wanna
Now, you
take-
could put all those on debate, so Mr. Slaughter can do it when he.
You want to take a crack at this, Mr. Scarborough? Planning Services?
I'll take it over here.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Well, see, there we go. Let's continue our roll.
Moving people around, mess you up. I got 3 easement encroachment agreements for your consideration today. The first one is for tax map 007G, parcel 453. The applicant's requesting an easement encroachment agreement to allow to build a wooden deck around the above-ground pool that's encroaching into the existing 15-foot sanitary sewer easement. Staff's reviewed that and is comfortable moving forward, so they're recommending approval.
Move to consent.
Second.
So moved. Next easement.
All right, easement number 2 is for tax map 029, parcel 037G. The applicant is Greenpoint Commercial out there in Harlem. They're requesting an easement encroachment to allow a newly installed public utility easement to cross over their existing private storm line. Staff's reviewed that and is comfortable with it, and so we're recommending approval.
Consent.
Second.
So moved. Item 3.
All right, final item, final easement encroachment for your consideration is tax map 059A, parcel 307. The applicant is requesting an easement encroachment to allow construction of a pool deck along their rear property line that would be within their 10-foot D&U. Staff's reviewed that and is comfortable with it, and so therefore recommends approval.
Pleasure.
Move to consent.
Second.
So moved. Thank you very much, sir. No legal matters. We'll stick with you and just go straight into staff reports.
All right, for your information only, no action required, is the May 25 Planning Department Workload Monthly Measurement Report. Questions you have?
Questions? Observations? Take that for advisement. Information. Next.
All right, and the plan review April monthly work monthly report is also for your information only, and I'll answer any questions you might have about that.
Questions?
No, sir.
And for information. Thank you very much, Mr. Sterling. All right, now let's have you,
All right.
the fray.
The first one I have is the Development Services Monthly Report, and a copy of that report is attached for your information only, and no further actions required. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Questions? Thank you, sir.
All right, the
Next
next
item.
one I have is the financial report for Development Services, and attached is a copy of that for your information. Further actions required.
Been good?
All right.
All right, everyone's favorite report,
Everyone's favorite report, and maybe with this committee today, it may should have started off with this one. So it's the temporary alcohol permits report, and a copy of that is for your information.
Where are the good parties this month? Yeah, sailing club, all right.
The Augusta Press can like start posting, like with the public meetings, also the party meetings.
All righty, any questions about the temporary alcohol permits?
None.
Thank you, and taken for information. Appreciate it, Paul. Any comments from the other commissioners? Any public comments? Comments from the committee? Seeing none. Well, it took a little longer, but we had a lot of fun. So, thank you, and we are adjourned.